Today, back on the People Business, Emily Lord joins me. Emily is Senior Director of Business Development for AM Higley. Emily has been in the construction industry for 13 years now. She is a member of Northeast Ohio Community and a wife and mother of two and former college athlete. Emily, welcome.
Yes. Hi. Thank you for having me, Frank.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you on. You know, we've talked about this before, and as I said, when I get back to recording, like one of the first people I want to have on is Emily Lord, because she is a badass.
Oh, thank you.
And that's what I described you as to, well, a lot of people. But, you know, it's cool to have you on, Emily. So let's get into where this started with you with Higley. You've been with 13 years now. Mm-hmm. But I think prior to talking about that, I'd love to go back and learn a little bit about college. So you were a soccer player, I believe, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And where did you play soccer at?
So I went to college and played soccer at Western Carolina University.
Okay.
It's in Cullowhee, North Carolina. It's about 45 minutes outside of Asheville, North Carolina, in the mountains. Yeah.
Wow.
It was beautiful there.
45 minutes away from Asheville.
Asheville.
Okay.
Correct.
So so mountains. So prior to that, had you ever been there before? Or?
No, I hadn't. I wanted to play soccer in college since I was very little. I started playing soccer, right when you were allowed to start playing soccer. And during the process of trying to look for schools and, the premier soccer world in high school, you're sending out your tournament schedules to coaches. Come see me play. So I love North Carolina. I've been there many times. My family used to go to the Outer Banks growing up a lot. So sent a lot of, emails to North Carolina coaches, like, come see me play. I think I had a tournament in Florida, and they invited me to their camp, went to their camp. All things went well at camp, and they, invited me on the team. So I was headed to middle of nowhere, North Carolina for college, and try to figure out what I was going to study when I got there. Yeah.
So you arrive on campus, you're an athlete, and you had no idea what you wanted to study at that time?
So I'd always been interested in kind of like the concept of architecture.
Okay.
Always, my mom is a huge lover of interior design, looking at model homes. So we always kind of shared that passion growing up. So architecture interests me. Business interests me. My dad's in business. I thought I could be successful in that. And I started talking to a professor at school. They had a great construction management program. I went to kind of like a career fair thing. And he convinced me that construction management was the place for me. It was a good mix between business, good mix between the building and design world. There was a business administration minor built into the program, so I was able to do classes like selling or negotiations or marketing, accounting, those types of classes as well, while I learned about the construction process. So he kind of talked me into it, and I hit the ground running, and never looked back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you go into construction management, and what was that experience like? Because I imagine walking into it, there's probably, because that's mostly a male-dominated, degree, right? Industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
definitely.
What was that experience like?
Yeah, it's definitely a male-dominated industry. I think, we're in the 11% of women in the business right now. As numbers come out. In North Carolina, in the Appalachian Mountains, is even less.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I was, one of two, one of three in the whole program. I was very often the only female in my class, and I was also considered, coming from Northeast Ohio, I was considered what they would call a Yankee. So I would be, front row answering questions, and they'd be like, the mountain boys in their camo, their suspenders and Carhartts and chewing tobacco and just teasing me all the time. But I embraced it and kind of leaned into being the different person in the room and did well.
So that and because you could have gone two ways with that, right? You could have leaned into it, or you can have said like, probably a lot of people could have said, oh, maybe this isn't for me, right? Mm-hmm. But you actually leaned into it and turned it into a strength, right? Mm-hmm. So
I tried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you think about that, you said there's 11%. Is that the The number?
Yeah, I think the last statistic that has come out, I did some research about this a little bit ago, is 11% of the construction workforce is female. So there's room for improvement for sure.
So let's talk about that real fast. What are you doing to bring attention to that and to change that dynamic, change the perception to help more people, more female come into the industry and really perform? Because I've seen a lot of really strong females come into the industry and just really do extremely well because they're able to come in, they communicate better, and for the most part they just do, I don't know what it is, but they do awesome in the industry. So what do you think, like, what's going on? What are you doing out there to improve that?
That's a wine question. Am I allowed to drink wine? Are we going to talk about our wine? I made Frank have wine.
We're drinking wine today. Mm-hmm. And that's a wine question.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of levels of that. I think you have to celebrate little victories, but always continually to push forward and try to bring awareness that there's good opportunities for people, minorities and females, in the business. So just creating awareness. I think there's a lot. Success is found when you can find mentors or find champions to advocate for you, and then also similarly advocate for others, and try to help them guide them through, trying to advance their career as well. There's also a ton of people in a ton of different organizations, especially in Northeast Ohio, who are trying to advance that. Mm-hmm. ACE mentorship is a big thing. CLE Builds is a big thing. There's NAWIC. There's a lot of organizations that understand that there's room for improvement in the construction industry for minorities and females. And, they're fighting that battle and trying to make steps forward. And there's a lot of steps that have been made, and there's more to go. So trying to support those things, and support individuals as well.
Well, you're on the front lines of a lot of that, fighting, pushing that, changing that, improving that. Do you have a mentor? Or you had mentioned mentorship. Do you have someone that has kind of helped you through that process?
Yeah, I still stay in contact with some of the people I went to school with. I consider some of my teammates from college, who are all very successful in their individual careers, mm-hmm. none in construction, but in theirs, understanding kind of the want, as a former athlete, the want to succeed in their careers as well. So that's always a great sounding board. My colleagues and, people I even report to at AM Higley have always, done what they can do to help me and help others within the company. But, making me feel like I have a future there has always been a great thing. I think, Gareth, our CEO, mm-hmm. he's a huge champion of helping people in their careers, and I'm super thankful for him and for that. Yeah.
Gareth is amazing. Yeah. He's been on the podcast also. And so when we look back to Emily in college, and did you play all 4 years?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So what would you take from the college athletic experience that you would say is like your strength, it's your special sauce today, your one thing that makes you? What do you think it is?
Good question. I think determination and perseverance, because there was a lot of times, especially my freshman year, where I was like, this is not that fun, this is hard, this is, it'd be easy to walk away from, but, signing up for it, saying you're going to do it, and then pushing forward, and even through the uncomfortableness and the challenges sometimes makes the end so much more rewarding. So I think that that kind of like determination and grit is something that carries through, and maybe a little bit of stubbornness. But,
because college athletics is a completely different game, right? Mm-hmm. At least it was for me. You go from high school to college, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, this is a job more than it is fun after a while, right?
Yep.
At least that's what it was for me.
Yeah, especially in wrestling, which you did, which is...
Yeah, but in soccer, it's probably the same. Mm-hmm. I mean, because, not only do you have to be responsible for your academics, your grades, which is why you're there first and foremost. But then you have to, it's just the accountability piece. Do you have one story or one example where like where it was like you really had to overcome some big time adversity with your 4 years playing college soccer and still performing in the classroom? Did you have any like major adversities or any challenges?
Freshman year, when you first started and you got thrown into it, and I had an extremely challenging coach my freshman year. She was not my coach all 4 years. I had 2 coaches, but she was at the beginning. You walk into day 1 of preseason, you had a whole booklet of, things that you're supposed to do in terms of fitness. And the first 3 weeks are just kind of that camp, 3 days.
Right.
First week is just testing. They just test you with all your fitness things. So I think like that week when you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Especially when your coach is like, okay, we're going to run until somebody quits today. And she meant it, and we did it, and it was crazy. And it was like, what am I doing? So it was that kind of like, you either got to like really, okay, I'm going to do this, or just run away. So that was kind of like an eye-opening beginning for sure.
Wow. So she said, we are going to run until we have one person who quits.
Yeah.
And let's just run until that happens.
Yeah.
So how long did you run
And we
for?
were all secretly hoping she had a specific person in mind. So we're all kind of like, okay, go, I'm tired.
Okay.
But we did it. It was wild.
Do you remember like that experience? Like how long did you have to run before that person quit?
Yeah. Like an hour.
Oh, an hour.
Yeah. Same week. I had a senior who I'm still very good friends with. We were doing one of our fitness tests. It was like, it was a 5K, and we're like halfway through, maybe a little bit over half. She looks down at her watch. She's running next to me, and she goes, Emily, we got to go, and we got to go now. And she physically grabbed me and carried me to the finish line. We ended up passing, but I wouldn't have passed without her. So it was like a very trying week in terms of like fitness and figuring out that kind of thing.
So that was a moment where you like, it was.
But it was nice that she helped me.
Well,
as a senior, she didn't have to.
So she helps you push
Shout out to Buki.
So do you still talk to her today?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I imagine. Yeah. It's those relationships that we form, right? Through athletics and through business. And so I imagine those experiences have really helped you in 13 years now with Higley. So, but prior to, so after your college is over, then didn't you go to Florida?
I did. I went to Florida during 2 summers. I co-opted for a large general contracting firm in Florida. My first project was in Destin, Florida. So I lived there for a summer, which was very fun. And then my second project was in Cocoa Beach, Florida, across the state, I ended up moving there after college. So I took a full-time job with them after school, moved from North Carolina to Florida, worked on a huge construction project at the Air Force Base, learned a ton. I was a field engineer, so I was hard hat, tool belt, steel-toe boots every day outside. Learned a lot, but then decided to come home back to Northeast Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your biggest takeaway from those 2 years in Florida?
It's hot there. No, I just learned a lot about the process. You know, you didn't necessarily get to see, you learn about construction, but you don't get to see, excavation, foundation, steel. You don't get to see it like built in real time. So I think just seeing the process from ground up, you just learn so much. Learning about the business. Yeah.
Yeah. So that experience there, those 2 years probably really helped you, because I had read an article, you were in 40 Under 40, right? With Cleveland Cranes.
Yep. And
it was talking about how you were able to see the nuts and bolts of an actual project come together. And that's helped you to kind of have a vision and connect, not just with these people, but on all parts through the cycle of a project, right?
Correct.
And to be able to build relationships with all of those people.
Right. So when I was starting in Florida, I was a field engineer, but also responsible for managing some of our different subcontractors. So like concrete sub, I was in charge of. So I was, helping them doing their, like what they were doing for the day, ordering their concrete, learned a lot about it, but was able to experience working with those people and what their expertise was and their trade was. And then, when I started with AM Higley, I was on the project control side, so I was doing a lot of project scheduling, and I was able to go out to the job sites and meet with our superintendents and walk with them, and they were able to teach me about construction. And I learned a lot just from how they schedule their projects. So that background knowledge helps me a little bit more today, even though I'm not in the field.
Right. It's also, I imagine, helped you really connect and learn, like, okay, who are good suppliers, who are good partners, who are partners that maybe aren't the right fit, who are the people we want to work with, who are the people that maybe aren't the right fit for this, right? And because not only, you get that through experience, like you can go in the classroom and you can get training, but then once you get, there really isn't the people training so much in the classroom, right? So what was that like learning about like interacting with people and how to effectively communicate? And because if you're working with subs and you're working with the concrete guy and this, you have a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of dialogue. Talk about that for a moment.
Yes, I think you had to hone in on your skills to communicate with all. You had to communicate down the ladder, up the ladder, across the ladder.
Yeah.
But I think if you lean on empathy and you lean on over communication, then it's something that anyone could really do.
That's great. I love that. Lean on empathy. Absolutely. Yeah. So here we are today. You've been at Higley now for 13 years, huh?
10 years at Higley.
10 years. Okay. 10 years. And when you think about the last 10 years of like where you came from to where you are today, what do you think, what do you think it really separates you from, in your company, from everyone else out there who does what you do?
I think being able to build those relationships, I think because I have that background talking with the subcontractors, but also the superintendents, that people can come to me and I am approachable and able to help them and willing to help regardless of the situation. I think it's a kind of a running joke that always everyone's in and out of our department, but I think that's because we're here as a resource and we really open our arms to helping anybody with anything. And being a friendly resource and being able to help everyone really allows us to excel within our company.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of the job?
So my current role is more on the trying to win new work. So I'm trying to create relationships with people, uncover opportunities where we can pursue new business, really that business development role. And then also on the marketing side, managing the pursuit process, putting together proposals and helping people get prepared for interviews and trying to get the construction sales. So I think I gravitated towards that initially. It was an internal position that was open that I kind of was like, ooh, pick me, because I think the competitive nature of sales is something that I really like. In the business, you have to pursue so much and you don't win them all, and you know that you're going to lose more times than you're going to win. But being able to really think about the strategy and think about what the client wants and strategize how we deliver our message and we articulate our value to them is exciting. I think it's different every single time because our clients want something different. So being able to put that all in a nice package and a bow and then win a project, I think nothing's better. Yeah.
Nothing's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the competitive nature, I think, winning. Yeah.
Well,
you
everyone
probably
wants
feel
to
similar.
Win. Yeah, I think everyone wants to win, right? But I also think there's winning the right way, right? And
definitely.
Because anybody can win by, all right, well, we'll just lower our price. Like we see that in our industry so much, right?
Right.
Just hack off this amount of money, but that's like, I don't see that as winning. I see that as discounting. And, you know, it's winning when maybe your price is the same or higher. That's when I love winning, right?
Right.
But that doesn't happen unless we provide more value, right? So when someone asks Emily, and you go to a wedding reception this weekend and you meet someone new and you say, you know, and they ask you, like, what do you do? Like, how do you describe to, like, what you do? Like, do you have, like, you know, a value proposition and that you use, or how do you describe?
So what I do, which I kind of touched on before, is I work for a commercial construction company. I work on the business development side. I'm trying to uncover opportunities and pursue new work so that our business continues to grow. AM Higley is a company that's almost 100 years old in Northeast Ohio. We are rooted and founded in our core values, and we like to pursue construction projects that build communities in which we live and work. We're a mission-driven company, which means we understand what our clients are trying to do. You know, they're not in the business of building buildings. They're in the business of doing something else. They're in the business of healing patients or educating kids. So we understand that that's what this project is to them. So we adapt that as our own mission, and we really fully try to become an extension of their team.
Love that.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say all that at a wedding, but you get kind of that.
But so you're not just, you know, looking for work for work. You're looking for work with purpose.
Right. Projects that impact the community, truly. Mm-hmm.
Because anybody could, you know, put a new strip mall in, or
right.
You know,
right. And there's a need for that, but that's just not what our specialty is. We're really bringing value to those clients who are trying to change the landscape and do something larger.
What's the funniest thing you've ever experienced in the industry?
Oh, well, I've had a lot of funny things. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of
anything stand out.
There's a lot of stories that I probably shouldn't share. You know, comments. I think I learned a lot from some contractors in Florida about how they felt of a 22-year-old female on their job site. So that was funny. Learned a lot. Yeah, construction's fun because it's always different, and there's so many different people, and you need so many parts and pieces to put something together, to build something, and it's never the same. So it's always funny and fun.
It's full of curveballs.
Yeah. No day's the same, for sure.
But you have such strength. And that's why, and you're a badass, and you were able to, because honestly though, let's think about that. How many people, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, could go into an industry, go into a new job, and get, have people talk about them, because you walk in at 22 years old, doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, people think you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground, right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
They don't even think that you're this person, what do they know? Because I experienced the same thing coming into the industry, right?
Right.
And for me, I was like, okay, obviously you know more than I do, and that's great. I'm here to learn. I took the approach I want to learn, and I want to learn from you. And then it gave them kind of the power to kind of put their guard down in a way. Right,
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that a lot when I was a project scheduler with superintendents. Just being there, not to get information on them, help me update my schedule, but more of teach me about what you're building here and let me learn about this because I haven't seen it before. And I think that helps people when they're able to be okay, well, this person finds that I have some sort of expertise or they have something to learn from me that like you said, brings their guard down and they're more willing to share. And I also think there's just, sometimes you just have to let people think that, and then you put the work in and you just prove them wrong if that's how they feel.
Well, that's exactly. and prove them wrong. And you've been doing that, and now here you are. What advice?
You're so nice, Frank. Thank you.
What's that?
You're so nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. What advice would you give to Emily, 22-year-old Emily, that you know today?
I would say don't be afraid to do something different and go outside the box. If you think you're supposed to be doing A, then B, then C, if you really want to do A, then B, then Z, do it and advocate for yourself and push the boundaries. And it's great to have people being your champion on the inside, but also if you don't do that for yourself too, it's going to take a lot longer to get where you want to go.
Get where you want to go.
Yeah. What about you? What would be your advice to 22-year-old Frank?
My advice to 22-year-old Frank is to stop playing it safe.
Yeah.
And go for the gusto.
Yeah.
Because life is way too short and you get one try at this thing. So go out there and just be you. And whatever that means, because 5 years you is not the same as 5 years, I'm not the same person I was. If I would have told myself, if I'm having a conversation with 25-year-old Frank, let's say, and I say, you're going to be one day consulting and coaching companies in the construction industry, I would have laughed my ass off.
Right.
I said, no, I'm not. That's never going to happen.
Right.
Because number one, I know nothing about that industry, but we never know. Like we never know where things are going to go and what's going to happen and the people we're going to meet. And I always tell people, I didn't pick this industry; it picked me.
Right.
And I'm out there fighting the fight for change, right? Of doing things the right way and aligning yourself with people that you share values with, like that, or that people that are winners, and that people that they don't necessarily have to agree on everything. But at the same time, I think that there's a right way of doing things, and those are the people I want to play with, And typically, and you probably see this at Higley, but A talent, wants to play with A talent. Doesn't matter if it's the soccer field. It doesn't matter if it's on the, the business, court or whatever it is.
Right.
You want to play with good people, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That's good advice.
Bonus round. I got some questions for you.
Okay.
I want to, I wrote some just off the wall questions. And we'll see. We'll run through these.
Oh goodness!
Favorite actor, or musician, or performer?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Really?
Yeah.
I would have not guessed that.
No.
Did you see her when she was in town?
I saw her in Atlanta.
Did you?
Yes.
How was she?
Amazing. I'm going back next year.
Really?
To her show in Indianapolis.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
She is spanned decades, spanned generations, and I just think she's a badass.
She is a badass.
Yeah.
I like it.
Easy one. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
What about you? Am I allowed to do this?
Yeah. Favorite actor, musician, or performer? My favorite actor right now is Sylvester Stallone.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Just because he's spanned generations, right? Like he's been doing it. And I just watched Tulsa King, and it's highly recommended.
Okay.
Yeah.
Haven't seen that.
No. Well, I could get into it, but I don't want to ruin it for you. Favorite condiment?
Ooh. This is tough. I love a good sauce. What do you define? What's the definition of condiment?
Barbecue sauce, ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard, relish, blue cheese.
Ketchup.
Ketchup?
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy.
Favorite movie?
Pass.
Favorite food?
Italian.
Any specific?
All the carbs. Like, I'm on death row and it's my last meal. I'm getting like this big bowl of rigatoni and garlic bread. Yeah, just the entire Italian spread. What about you?
Well, I love Italian food. Growing up, being Italian, but any seafood. I love seafood.
Oh,
I love eating seafood.
interesting.
Theme song. If you had to say like one song that like was like your entrance music.
That's a good question.
Tough
I don't
one.
want to pass, but I don't know. So in college we had goal songs. So you'd score a goal, which I did not do very many of. But you have the song that plays, and I whip my hair back and forth. So that was my theme song in college. Now I don't know.
The song that pumps you up, like when you're not feeling it that day, but like is your jam.
I don't know.
Taylor Swift song, maybe?
Yeah, Taylor Swift. My husband's got me into pop punk lately, which is interesting.
Okay.
So some of that now, yeah, pumps me up. Don't tell him I said that.
Okay. I'm going to ask you one last question.
Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Emily Lord retires. At your retirement party, how would you like your clients there celebrating with you to describe how you do business?
That's a good question. I think I would like people to say that I was a hard worker, that I was always friendly, always willing to help, a little feisty, and someone who continuously improved what she was delivering to her colleagues, her partners, her relationships, her clients, never settling and always trying to improve and learn more and do better.
I love that.
Yeah.
Continuously improving every aspect of the business of themselves. Awesome. Well, one day, hopefully I'm at that party.
Yes.
And we can talk
I'm
about
going to
that
retire
question.
early, so you'll be there.
Well, Emily, it's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks, Frank. This was so fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.